teaching so-called blacks, Hispanics, and the indigenous what our true identity is according to the Bible, which is the 12 tribes of Israel, the Lord's chosen people, according to these scriptures right here. And of course, that our oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of.
That's right.
Today is the Monday night history class, where we'll be going over more of the Maccabees or the Maccabean War, the Maccabean Revolt, whatever it is that you want to call it.
That's what the oppressor calls it, the Maccabean Revolt.
You know what I'm saying? We're going to be going over the real history of who it was that was fighting, what it is that happened to the people that were fighting for their freedom against the vile Greeks, and who those people are today, and how it is that we're treated the same way as we were back during the time of the Greeks.
Right, and if I could, before you get into the scripture, like the oppressor is such a devil, man, such a beast, because he makes it a point to call it the Maccabean Revolt. But when he talks about his freedom and all the stuff that he had to fight for and all the stuff that he had to do, he don't call it a revolt at all. In fact, he glorifies it. He gives you holidays, you got the 4th of July, all of that stuff. And that's just what hit. But black man, Hispanic man, Native Indian man, you don't get none of that glory. Black man, Hispanic man, indigenous. Your history called a revolt, and you don't even celebrate. But you can have. Yeah, go ahead.
It's the book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people.
Yeah, you go ahead and break it down.
Oh, come on. You understand? And just like the scriptures letting us know, because a lot of our people believe that, the whole doctrine of America being, a big melting pot, where all people come together and dwell in unity. Like, that's not a new concept in this earth. You know what I'm saying? It's something that the Greeks did a long time ago. It's right. Something that the Romans did after the Greeks, and then America just adopted it. Right. You know what I'm saying? And that, it's like you.
I was going to say the Babylonian Empire.
Come. You know what I'm saying? That lie of everyone coming together and being one nation under God and, viewing one another as your brother, like that is just another way for our oppressor to further reinforce his white supremacy. You understand? Because even back then when the Greeks were saying, oh yeah, we're all one people, you understand? You come live with our people within our borders, you'll be our brother. But at the same time, the Greeks murdered our forefathers for simply being Israelites, simply for being black, Hispanic, and indigenous, just as America does today. That same bloodlust it is that our oppressor had back then is the same one he has today.
Right.
And just because he's saying that we're one big melting pot and God loves everybody, our people fall for it and truly think that these devils mean what it is that they say.
If I could. We're supposed to be Americans, ain't we?
Right.
We're Americans. Don't we get all the benefits of America?
Right.
No. And same thing back then, no matter how much they want us to come together.
Double con. And we can thank our leaders for why it is our people believe this lie so heavily. If it wasn't for our leaders reinforcing the idea of our people integrating and mingling within American society, like we would know that's simply not true. That all men are created equal and that everyone should come together, because our oppressors never came together with us as a nation.
Right.
No matter what the time period is, no matter what it is that they call themselves.
The president don't come together with no other nation. That's why you ain't never seen a Chinese president or anything like that. It don't matter if they was born over here in America. You will never see them other nations rule over, the so-called Chinese man like that, because he don't look at them as one of their own.
Right.
Hey, what's going on, Officer Lacombe? How you doing, mighty man?
Shalom, Lord Christ.
Hey, shalom, Lord Christ, priest.
Isupk Sioux.
We in the book of Maccabees. Just so you know, my fault, priest.
Verse 42. And everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed. It's like, I'm reading up on the top.
Go ahead.
Verse 42. And everyone should leave his laws.
Hmm.
And that's exactly what it is that America wants for our people to do. You understand? And of course, the heathens as well, if they decide to call themselves American and come into this land. Like, it used to be well known within our communities that you couldn't be part of the LGBTQ.
Right.
You understand? Officer Isaiah will tell you all day how it is they used to beat brothers and sisters up that tried to practice that disgusting lifestyle that belongs to our oppressor, that belongs to Africans and belongs to Asians and Arabs, East Indians, all of these other nations that are not us, because that's not what it is that the Lord intended for us to do. That's not how that's not how we're supposed to conduct ourselves as a people.
Right. And it ain't even, and here's the thing, we wasn't just some monstrous, heathenistic, animalistic type of people. It was just something that you knew instinctively. You know what I'm saying? And instinctively, you fight against it. You understand? You fight against it. So instinctively, we knew homosexuality wasn't right. You know what I'm saying? You can't be in a locker room with me. You're a homosexual. And here's the sad part. That's the same spirit we need to have on us about everything. Like, we need that same thing that makes our skin crawl. We need to be looking at that with everything that the oppressor is trying to push on our nation, like Thanksgiving, like Christmas, like all these other pagan holidays. You need to look at that like that's disgusting. If somebody coming there and Merry Christmas, you need to turn your face up at them. Happy holiday. You just, what? What's so happy about it? They're gonna be dumbfounded, and let them know. Listen, that ain't what the Lord wants. You believe in God, you believe in the Lord. That ain't what He wants. You understand? That's what the Maccabees is all about. Somebody told Judas Maccabee Merry Christmas. He had cut their tongue out their mouth. And let me tell you something. Then nobody looked at him crazy behind it. There's blaspheming in his eyes. You understand? He wasn't going for it. He wouldn't come in to infest what the Lord has put together, man. Like Bongad just read, if you would take 42 from the top.
Come. 42. And everyone should leave his laws.
Keep going.
So all the heathen agreed.
So everyone should leave his laws. And of course, all the heathens are going to agree. When it comes to destroying blacks, Hispanics, and indigenous, all the heathens are in agreement. That's why when you see this gay agenda pushed, who is it pushed through? It's pushed through us. Lil Nas X and all these other homosexual rappers. Do you think it's a coincidence that they so happen to be black? When Eminem talks about homosexuality in all his raps, he talks about committing homosexual acts in his raps. And everybody's like, man, he's spitting. He's cold. Nah, he's a homo. You understand? Somehow he gets the label of best rapper alive, though, when he talks about committing homosexual acts in his rap. That's how he got his name. Slim Shady Eminem, he's doing all that weird rap that people thought was awesome. He was talking about a whole bunch of homo stuff, pedophilia stuff as well. You understand? But Lil Nas X is the first gay rapper. No, it was Eminem. How about that? You understand? But we don't get it because we don't understand that we had war. These brothers in this book of the Maccabees, they understood they was at war. Coming together with these nations and celebrating their customs is an act of war. So I want to say Salaki.
And so if I could add, you know what I'm saying, the reason is that the heathens are so willing to leave behind their laws as a people, which they get from, you know, their gods, supposedly,
Right.
what they claim. You understand? The Muslims get it from that rock they kiss on every day and circle like a bunch of idiots. You understand? the East Indians get it from, what's that? What is it? Shiva? One with all them arms.
Yeah.
You understand? They get their laws from that nonsense. Like all these different nations, they get their laws from their gods. And for them to be so willing to just leave it behind to follow another nation without any kind of repercussions for leaving them, that just goes to show you how phony their gods really are. You understand? Because when the children of Israel, when we left behind our laws, when we abandoned what it is that the Lord gave us as a nation, there were repercussions behind it. You can look in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, read verse 15 all the way down, and you'll see how it is that the Lord said we'd fall under curses if we chose not to keep his commandments. And that's exactly why it is that we're in the condition we're in now, because we don't keep the Lord's laws, statutes, and commandments. You understand? And it's not something we can really blame on ourselves. It's thanks to our oppressor and thanks to our so-called leaders who really work for our oppressor.
Right. It was at 42, 143.
Okay. According to the commandment of the king, 43, yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion.
And if I could, who does that sound like?
Christian pastor.
That is your Christian pastor. That is TD Jakes, Creflo Dollars of the world saying, listen, I'm going to make sure that my congregation follows exactly what you want them to do. And then right after they say that, they say, now where's my cut?
Right.
Because that's what it was all about in the end. Even now in the Maccabees, this was all for profit. That's all it was about. It was about how can we make the most money possible. And the way to make the most money is always making sure that you bring in Blacks, Hispanics, and Indigenous. Because we are a simple people. We're going to put all our resources and all our funds into building up in other people's nations. We see it every goddamn day.
Right.
We was doing the same thing back then. We get them on board, we good to go. That's how our enemies think. If we can get them on board, we are good to go. Anything that we want to do, we can do. So I want to say, Chris.
And sacrifice unto idols.
That's what we good at. We about to do it this Thursday, Thanksgiving.
Right.
We about to sacrifice on the idols. And swear up and down is for the Lord, though. We're going to swear up and down. We're going to pray over all that unlawful food that he told us not to eat and swear it's for him. We're doing this for you, Lord. In the name of Jesus, we pray. And swear up and down that he hear it. You understand? This is what we good for. This is how you know this is talking about us. Sacrifice on the idols. That's what we good at. Go ahead, please.
Okay. And so if I could, you understand?
Hold on. Hold your point, Lacombe. Go ahead, okay.
You understand that sacrifice isn't always food either.
Right.
Like our people think, you know, when the Bible talks about sacrifice, that, you know, it's just some gruesome witchcraft, you know, animal slaying that it is that our oppressor depicts of, you know, really our culture, when it can also be money as well. Like all that money it is that our people give to the Christian church, you understand, give to the Christian pastor because they think that they're following God. Like that is a sacrifice as well.
Right.
And we wonder why it is that so many of our people are poor. You understand why it is that we have damn near mega churches on every other block. That's all I'll say.
Most of course. Go ahead, Officer Lacombe.
You might turn the volume up.
Is your volume cut all the way up? Because
yours is going to be turned up.
Yours is up.
That's a lot.
Make sure your volume all the way up.
So I can say that is
That's a lot better.
What I was gonna say, if I could, just to piggyback off of what you were saying, you know, they the Christian church, they not going to celebrate the Feast of Dedication. They don't give a damn about it.
Right.
They give a damn about Thanksgiving, and it shows you the disrespect that they have and the lack of love that they have to their people and to their brothers and their foremothers and forefathers. That they are willing to celebrate the murder of their foreparents versus to celebrating on the other side their forefathers doing something mighty for the Lord.
Right. And listen, and we'll fight and argue with you about it too, on why they shouldn't celebrate it. Well, we're not them people. We don't live in that life anymore. We don't do that anymore. But you still collect them goddamn tithes.
Right.
You understand? You still want to do everything else that benefits your lustful heart. You understand? When you don't say that when it comes to sin, and why would I continue to smoke weed and sleep with whores? We not them people no more. We don't do that no more. You don't say that then, but you'll say it for not serving the Lord.
I say, Salaki, if you want to say, oh, well, you're not the Israelites anymore, then why even use the Bible?
Right.
Like, that is the Israelites' records. That's our constitution, if you want to look at it that way.
Right. You're absolutely right.
I think, Quatazar.
So you have something you want to bring out, priest?
Oh, no. I'm part of here.
Most High Christ. Go ahead, Bug, have the scriptures.
Come. Verse 44. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land. It's like that's funny because the fake Israelites will always say that you can get high or sleep with women outside the nation. You got to follow the laws of the land.
Right.
You understand? When you're not supposed to do anything that's going to break what it is that the Lord gave us. You understand? So the law of America says it's okay to be part of the LGBTQ plus community, but yet the Lord told us as a nation not to be homosexuals, for sisters not to be lesbians. You understand? And that's really all there is. Everything else is just our oppressor trying to tiptoe around being a homosexual. You understand? America says it's okay for you to be a drug dealer. All you gotta do is go out and buy a couple fields and get a what's that called when you create a business?
Talk about LLC.
Yeah, you understand. All you gotta do is get a LLC, and you can grow marijuana and sell it to dispensaries.
Right.
You understand? When the Lord said that He suffers not a witch to live. Like, America completely goes against what it is that the Lord told us to be as a nation. 45, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days.
Read that again, Salaki.
45, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days.
Listen, that's what we've been doing forever. We listen. We don't even give a damn. Like, this is the sad part. We don't give a damn. Even when you know the truth, you don't give a damn. You understand? And when I say we, I mean us as a whole, not brothers in the UPK, of course. I mean us as a nation. Because how many times have you talked to a brother or sister that actually know the truth, and they say, yeah, I know, but whenever you hear that but, you about to give a reason why not to do the right thing. That's what that but means. That but means, yeah, but I don't care. That's a simple way of putting it. And sometimes you'll even meet that brother or sister who's bold enough, well, I can't even say bold enough, truthful enough to even let you know, I don't care. I know the truth of the Bible, but I don't care. I want to do what I want to do. Hey, listen, I like them brothers and sisters, because when the time comes and the Most High Christ come back and we putting people to death, that's going to be my same excuse to them. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know, but I don't care. Stick your neck out so I can chop it off. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. You know what this was. You knew you didn't care before, don't care now. I want that same energy. You understand? I want that same spirit, man. But like Bangad was saying, we profane the holy days, man. We know the Sabbath is supposed to be holy. We know your boss asks you, do you want to come in for overtime? And you'll say yes. You know, yeah, I want to go in for overtime because you're a good little slave in America. And let me ask you something. This is a truthful question. When your boss asks you to make that overtime up, and you go make that little overtime on the Sabbath that you were supposed to be resting, you know, do what the Lord says. When you get that check, do you really see a difference? Did that one overtime day really make that? Did it make a difference? Did it bring you out of poverty? Did it bring you out of poverty? Guess what? It did not make a difference in your paycheck because you still need the next paycheck to almost up that bomb to freaking survive. You understand? We live from paycheck to paycheck. We survive off a bare minimum. The oppressor had to give being poor a different name because poor wasn't good enough for him. Because if he said poor, he would have to then associate himself with you, black man, Hispanic man, indigenous man. So he didn't say poor, he said recession. The country is in a recession. It's rich people word for not having enough money. We call it ghetto fabulous where I'm from. We live ghetto fabulous around here because we don't have enough money, but we make everything look glorious, man. Understand? But I'm getting off subject. The point is this. We don't care about the holy days of the Lord. Everybody knows that Thanksgiving is Thursday, right? Everybody knows Thanksgiving is Thursday. If you're not Isupk, you don't know what Sunday is. You don't know what Sunday is. What's Sunday? Bangad, give it to me. What's this Sunday?
Hanukkah.
Hanukkah.
Or Feast of
That's
Dedication.
what I was just about to say. Otherwise known as the Feast of Dedication. You ask a Christian now, just do that tomorrow, priest. When you're out and about, ask them, when is Thursday? What's coming up this Thursday? I know something's coming up. They're going to get offended. How dare you forget about Thanksgiving? We're going to come together as family. Like, they're going to, and then tell them, all right, damn, Thanksgiving is Thursday. What about Sunday? What's Sunday? They're like, I don't know, Sunday night football? And that's when you get offended. How dare you forget about Sunday? It's the Feast of Dedication. The actual goddamn day is supposed to be celebrated.
Right.
That's us forsaking our high holy days, man. That's that scripture Bangad just broke out. Go ahead, priest.
And it's like, if I could,
Right.
you understand, we also profane our feast days as well as the Sabbath by trying to understand them through the eyes of the Jewish man.
Right.
Who bastardizes our culture every single day. Like with UPK, we tell you Sabbath is every 7 days because that's what the scriptures say. You know what I'm saying? But yet you learn from a Jewish man, it's every new moon.
That's what I was just about to say. Like a werewolf.
Right. You understand? And not only do you learn learn that it's every new moon, but you also learn from the Jewish man that you can't do anything that is pleasurable on Sabbath. You know what I'm saying? You just got to stand on a bed of nails getting beat to death. You understand?
They get the little whip.
Yeah, come on.
You know what I'm saying? Like, my thing is this. So they don't go to the restroom? Like you ain't allowed to go. You just sit there all day and just pee on yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because some people, listen, you don't wash your butt that day. I'm like,
Yeah, they said it's pleasure.
yeah, listen, you can't wash your butt. You can't go to the bathroom. You got to sit there with your eyes closed. You can't look at TV because I enjoy watching TV. I do. You can't listen to music. You can't
lay with your rib.
Can't lay with your rib. Can't have a decent conversation because we enjoy talking. You can't do nothing. You can't breathe. You can't. Who don't enjoy breathing air? You just hold your breath the whole goddamn day, huh?
Don't blink either.
Yeah, don't blink. I guess you die every new moon. You understand? That's why you can't learn from these fake groups or the so-called Jewish men. You understand? So I want to bring us a lot.
46. Come on. 46, and pollute the sanctuary. You understand? And that's exactly what it is that the Christian church has done, is they polluted what was supposed to be the Lord's sanctuary. You know what I'm saying? Because at one point, these so-called Christian pastors, they were chosen to lead our people at one point in time by the Lord. But instead, they chose to do just as our leaders did. They chose to profit themselves and it is only think of themselves and only think of pleasing our oppressor, so that it is that they can gain more power and more power in order to distance themselves from us. You understand? And how is it that the Christian church has polluted the Lord's sanctuary? You understand? It's very simple. All you gotta do is just Google all the child molestation that goes on within the Christian church. You understand? Look up all of the orgies it is that the Christian pastors and his deacons be having up in there. You understand? Just go look at all the money it is that the pastors are stealing from the brothers and sisters within their congregation. Like, they are just such wicked bastards who are just agents for our oppressor. And the sooner it is that, one second, was that Lacombe? Yeah, one second. You understand? The sooner we realize that we can't depend on these pastors or these leaders, and that the only way for us to really get out of this condition it is that we're living in is if our people come into the ISUPK under Commanding General Yohana.
Yeah, I'm right.
Go ahead, Lacombe.
I think we might have been froze up. There we go. My fault. We hear you. Go ahead, priest.
What if I don't like?
Bear with us. Internet acting up, man. Your pressure's the devil.
Right.
What the Christian churches.
Absolute come.
What they taste.
Start over from the beginning, if you would. The internet was acting up on our end.
Sir. If I could, I was saying what Officer Monroe was saying was so evident, so right. In the Christian church, they got our women to the point where they're prostituting themselves and treating the Christian church as if it's a strip club. They got our women twerking on the stage, the same stage where the pastor is so-called supposed to be preaching. You understand? It goes to show how we need to do a Usain Bolt out of the Christian church. Like, we out of there, like never before. It's like,
Well, absolutely right. You're absolutely right, man. That's such a heavy point, man. Like, and here's the thing: they've done studies already. Talk about how this new generation of kids. You wonder why they killing each other like that. Like, just look at just what happened to young Dolph here recently, man. Like, the reason we have scenarios like that still transpiring in our community is because our kids don't have any relationship with the Most High. Like, they don't believe in the Christian church, and by default, they don't believe in the Most High, because we have been so programmed and so brainwashed to associate the Christian church. Yeah, we have been so brainwashed and so programmed to associate the Christian church with the Most High. Like, we don't look at that as the house of Satan. Even with all the molestation going on in there, even with all the homosexual acts being committed in there, even with all the blaspheming and the direct disrespect to the Most High for us eating unlawful food and celebrating pagan holidays. Like, every Christian church celebrates Thanksgiving, Easter, Christmas, Halloween. Like, this goes on in every Christian church. They have events and parties, Halloween parties in the Christian church. They was doing that when I was a goddamn kid. I know it didn't go away. It didn't do nothing to turn into an even bigger event, because the Christian churches ain't done nothing but get bigger. So and here's the thing: the generation of kids now see all this wickedness going on, so they don't believe in the Most High because they don't believe in the Christian church, because they grew up believing that the Christian church is a direct correlation to the Most High, which is wrong. That's why we here now. That's why the work of the UPK is so important. That was my mindset before I found the truth, before I understood the truth. I just thank the Most High that He had mercy on me for me to understand that, not just hear it, but to understand it and know it and see it because I lived it. You know, and not only that, because if people really watch the actions of the UPK, that should be all the proof that they need.
Right.
That should be all the proof that they need to show that we actually are the priest and prophets of the Lord, and we actually do follow the Most High as opposed to the Christian church. People hate us more than the Christian pastor. Here's the funny part. We ain't raping your goddamn kids. We ain't stealing your money. We not doing none of, you don't see us with whores. You don't see us doing drugs. You don't see us doing none of that. But for some odd reason, you hate us and you get mad at us because we are perfect. Not just as we say we perfect, but we live a perfect life. We don't sin against the Most High. We don't eat shrimp, crab, and lobster. And that turns your stomach to see us, to see righteous men.
Right.
You rather pretend that your Christian pastor is righteous so you can keep wallowing in your own lust and doing your own wickedness, man. Every brother in this school is like these brothers that we read about in the Maccabees. You understand? We not folding on nothing that we believe in, and we gonna die and fight and kill for what we believe in, man. You understand? Point blank, period. Go ahead, priest.
And what you bring it up so heavy because the Christian church is a direct correlation to Caesar Borgia. You know, everything he's done by his lifespan is being taught now in the Christian church, especially homosexuality.
Right. Damn right. Damn right. That is the biggest thing in the Christian church, man. I cannot see a goddamn Christian church videos without some homosexual just dancing his life away. And not only is he dancing, but he's in the most homosexual outfit that you can find. It's like watching a Prince video. You understand? They got on purple and a girl outfit. I feel like Charlie Murphy said when he said shirts versus bosses. He said, "Don't look at me like that. You know where you got that from." And it damn sure wasn't the men's department. You know what I'm saying? They got the most feminine clothes that they can have. And not only are they just sashaying up and down the damn ramp in the Christian church, but they are playing like the most sinful songs. They're playing the Megan Thee Stallion songs and the Nicki Minaj songs. They ain't even editing the cussing out. They reenacting the videos there, man. And you wonder why the correlation with these young generations and they doing the wickedness that they're doing. Because they grew up as little kids in the Christian church seeing all this wickedness happen every day, man.
Right.
That's why the spirit of the Maccabees is so important. That's why the Feast of Dedication is so important. Hanukkah is so important, man. That's why. We got to take back what's ours and we got to rebuild it. That's what we do every day in the UPK. We take back the kingdom of the Most High. We rebuild it, man. Step by step, brick by brick, brother by brother, sister by sister, man. That's all I want to say. Salaki.
And holy people.
What kind of people?
And holy people.
We already know what that means. Separate people, man. That's what we got to maintain and keep being. Separate from all these other nations, man. You cannot be a part of nothing that America has to offer. You know the only people that was mad about Kyle, he says his name, Kyle Rittenhouse? Kyle Rittenhouse. You know the only people who was mad about the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict? The only Black, Hispanic, and Indigenous people that was mad about the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict was the people who still had their eggs in a basket with America. It's the people who still believe that they're American. Because not too long ago, we got some convictions, you know what I'm saying? That one cop went to jail for choking out Eric Garner, right? No, George Floyd, so lucky. My fault. It's sad that I get names confused, man, because we lose so many goddamn Black, Hispanic, and Indigenous brothers to violence by the hands of the oppressor. Whether they wear a badge or they don't, because you couldn't have told Kyle Rittenhouse he didn't have a badge on. In his mind, he had a badge. He was accepted by the police. That's why he was able to run up on them with an AR-15. You run towards the police with an AR-15, see what happened to your black butt. Go ahead, priest.
What you're saying is so heavy. I remember when George Floyd died, we was on the clubhouse, and that devil that came on that killed George Floyd, forgot his name, but he was on Clubhouse too. And they asked him a question. They was like, "Well, do you think you're gonna get off? And you think you're gonna go away with no charge? You think they gonna present you innocent?" And he must have thought that he was Kyle Rittenhouse. His response was, "I'm a white man in America. What do you think?"
Right.
Listen, and that goes to show, that we should not love this place no more.
Right.
We spent too much time following the Christian church that tell us time and time again, even though they murder us, still love them. God loves everybody. God loves the sin, not the sinner. You understand? Like all this stuff the Christian church is telling us is nothing but lies just to keep money in their pocket. They're not going to tell you what to do to fix the problem.
Right.
Right.
No, that's a heavy point. Like that's why the spirit of the Maccabees is so important. You gotta have that warfare mentality. That's why I always say, like every day, every breath you take, every step you take, man, it is an act of war. You understand? Like to the oppressor, it's an act of defiance. Why ain't you black people dead yet? You understand? But for me and my brothers, this is a step and a breath that we take to build this nation, making us the most powerful nation under the Most High in Christ once again.
Right.
Because we once knew this, man. We once knew this, man. We was undefeated when the Lord was with us. Who could touch us when the Lord was with us?
Right.
The reason the Maccabees is such an excellent story is because the Lord was with these brothers. They was outnumbered 10-1. And they tore the Romans up, the Greeks up, with the guerrilla warfare. Guerrilla warfare. We're not going to fight the way that you told us to fight. That's stupid.
It's like they was fighting one of the greatest war machines this earth has ever seen.
You feel me? Slaying the dragon. That's what they did. Slayed the dragon, man. And the correlation with that in today's time is, like you said, like that devil that killed George Floyd. He thought he was getting off. We got that, and we thought we won our victory. That's why when Kyle Rittenhouse didn't get convicted, we couldn't believe it. But we had just came so far. Remember that?
Right.
Remember that we had came so far? That's what the Christian pastors were saying. We have came so far in America. Now we finally received justice. What happened to the justice with this? Even though it wasn't no blacks, Hispanics, or Native, indigenous people killed in this act by Kyle Rittenhouse, the reason he killed his own is because they were supposedly defending blacks, Hispanics, and indigenous. They was out there protesting in a Black Lives Matter protest. That was unthinkable. That's why they got shot, because they were sticking up for black people. Even though it was all just a song and dance, a show, they don't care about us. But they said they did publicly, and that was enough for their own race to look at them as enemies. That's why Kyle Rittenhouse got off. So now what this is going to do is now every protest here on out be expecting more Kyle Rittenhouses. Mm-hmm. You'll be a fool to be black, Hispanic, or indigenous out there in any kind of protest. The Asian Lives Matter protest.
I was Commander Junior Hunter brought it out on his radio show, Black Watch. You understand that Kyle Rittenhouse was already basically offered an internship with some governor. You understand? So after he goes and shoots some of his own people because they were going to jeopardize his place of power in this kingdom, you understand, now he's going to be able to influence the government. You understand? He's going to have a seat in there, even if he's just an intern. You understand? Like that's how these devils work.
He's a war hero.
You understand? Like, all you gotta do is get buddy with the right devil, and he's defending the country from a bunch of terrorists. So I mean, he's already going to get in good with whatever
mainstream America.
Yeah, whatever devil it is he comes across. So brothers and sisters are gonna have to watch out for that as well.
Right. If I could, real quick, not to beat a dead horse, but Kyle Rittenhouse is the perfect example of what it means to make America great again.
Right.
You
Right.
understand? He's going to be a story told through Esau's generations forever. Just like the Maccabees, it's the story that we're going to be telling for blacks, Hispanics, and indigenous forever. Even after we take the kingdom back, we're going to bring up the Maccabees. And we're going to compare it to how, we was running through the city with like horses when the Most High Christ returned, taking back the world for blacks, Hispanics, and indigenous man. Let's get some more scriptures.
Okay. 47. Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts.
That reminds me of the Christian church, just as well as all them other false religions.
48. That they should also leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanity.
Mm-hmm. And that alone should be offensive, because if anything, we know about the story of David. That's the first thing David said when he came on that field and seen Goliath out there talking all that gang stuff. Goliath out there gang. You understand? That's what Goliath was out there doing. And the first thing David said is, who is this uncircumcised heathen? Like, to call somebody uncircumcised back then was the greatest disrespect. He called him Dirty Rod. That's what he called him. Who is this Dirty Rod, filthy, disgusting heathen think he talking to like that? He ain't talking to me and my brother. Why ain't he dead yet? I will do it. You understand? And now they want us to be like Goliath. They want us to be Dirty Rod. You know what I'm saying? And not just physically, but spiritually as well. By eating all this unclean, abominable food. Eat shrimp, crab, and lobster. Like, have y'all see, when they put the lobster up under the microscope, do y'all not see them goddamn parasites in that thing?
Mm-hmm.
The parasites be in that thing like it's a goddamn nightclub. They be in there just...
They having Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, they chilling. They getting it on. They dance like a mug. That whole thing is alive in there. You understand? Like, and you eating that, man. You eating that. Come on, man. And then a pig. I just seen a video on Facebook. Let me know if y'all seen it. It was a pig, right? And she had just gave birth to some little piglets, and a couple of them died. Guess what she did?
Hey.
She started eating them. Y'all see that video on Facebook?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Hey, listen, I guess bacon tastes good to everybody, because she sure was eating them. She's she's like, this bacon is good. Who's getting these again? Like, come on, man. And this is what we eat. This is what we're gonna have on the table this Thursday. We're gonna have that same pig that ate his own young on that table. And before we eat it, guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna put our hands together like this and say, dear white Jesus, please bless this food. And guess what white Jesus is going to do? White Jesus is going to bless that food. White Jesus is going to look out. But let me tell you something. Not the nigga God, not the nigga Christ. They ain't looking out. They are not looking out at all. In fact, they don't hear that. You know that in Amos 5:21, it tells you how you feel. He hates you in that feast day. And he don't sit in that household. He's not in the Solomon assembly or whatever you want to call it in the Christian church. He's not there. That's why this Thanksgiving, watch what I tell you. And we all know this because we preach the prophets of the Lord. There's going to be all over the news how families are going to be getting together and then fighting and killing each other. Fighting and killing each other, passing the coronavirus around like it's a blunt. That's what they're going to be doing. You understand? You're going to see families getting sick and families fighting each other to the death because the Lord is not with them. There's an evil spirit in that household on that day. Go ahead, priest.
I'm concerned what you're trying to say. Because when you think about it, what they're doing, whenever they're killing each other on these feasts, on their feast days.
Right.
When they killing each other, they're executing the judgment of the Lord.
Right.
Because in Isaiah 66, the Lord said that if you found even swine's flesh, he's going to kill you.
Right.
And so it's one of those where it's because our people have enjoyed it from being given to it. It's like because our people have had it given to them by their slave master for so long, they become so accustomed to it that it's them like without what is Thanksgiving without pork?
Right.
What's Thanksgiving? Damn the turkey. Turkey. What's Thanksgiving without pork? And these are the filthiest things, like you're saying, on the face of the earth. You understand? If I could pull one precept real quick about Pushab.
Go ahead.
This the book of Judith, chapter 5, verse 20. Is now therefore, my Lord and God, if there be any error against this people, and they sin against their power, let us consider that this shall be their ruin.
Right. And actually, I was going to pull that same precept, but I wanted you to go up a little bit. You started at 20. Let's start at 17.
Book of Judah, chapter 5, verse 17.
Go ahead.
And willest they sin not before their power.
Read that again.
And willest they sin not before their power.
Now, this is King Nebuchadnezzar asking. He's trying to figure out why blacks, Hispanics, and indigenous brothers and sisters ain't afraid of him, especially the brothers, because we was ready to go to war. We got the war council together. Today, starting out was me calling y'all, calling together. We about to kill everything. Let's get it together. You know what I'm saying? And we go post up in front of a cat house. And he like, and then not only that, but he trying to call a treaty. He got the white flag out there, and we ain't hear none of that. And he asking this war council, like, why ain't they afraid? And he's telling them, like, man, he told them, listen, man, this is the same people that the Lord was with them. He brought them up out of Egypt, destroyed their enemies, took over the land. And when the Lord is with them, they can't be touched. Keep going.
Come. They prosper.
When the Lord is with them, they prosper. Like Bongal was bringing out. They want us to follow other guys. They don't want us to follow our guys. The book of Maccabees, that's what this is about, man. Not following the Most High. That's what it's about right now to this day. I heard some Christian pastor, it so happened to be a black man, I can't remember his name, but he was saying, the devil ain't trying to get you not to keep, what did he say? The devil ain't trying to get you to sin. He's trying to get you not to keep the law. Because if you keep the law, then you sin. Like it was two separate things. This is what they want to do. They don't want us to follow the law, statutes, and commandments. They want us to turn away from the Most High. Here in the UPK, they want us to turn away from the Most High so bad. They do anything and everything in their power to try to make that happen, but it just won't happen. Keep going.
Come, sir. Because the power that hated iniquity was with them.
Damn right. The power that hated iniquity that was with them. The Most High was with us, man. He don't play that crap. As long as you serve the Most High, you are untouchable. Keep going.
Verse 18. But when they departed from the way which he appointed them.
When we became Babylonian. Keep going. Read that again.
When they departed from the way which he appointed them.
When we became Greek. Read that again.
When they departed from the way which he appointed them.
When we became American. Keep going.
They were destroyed in many battles very sore.
That's why Kyle Rittenhouse gets to walk free. Because we're American. That's why young Dolph gets gunned down in his hometown going to get something to eat. Because we're American. That's why in less than 2 seconds, cops pull up and gun down Tamir Rice. Because we're Americans. That's why Breonna Taylor is said to hung herself in a jail cell because we're Americans. That's why George Floyd had to suffer with a knee on his neck for damn near 10 minutes because we're Americans.
Right.
Keep going.
And led captive into the land that was not theirs.
No, listen, this is, we're all Americans, right? That's what that said?
And were led captive into a land that was not theirs.
We was led into a land that's not ours to come and live the American dream. Right? that what that said? All right, just making sure. Keep going.
And the temple of their power was cast to the ground.
Listen, that's why the Maccabees is so important, because the same thing happened in Judith, which is, the Maccabees basically, because it's the same book, the Apocrypha, but we read it in Judith, we read it in the Maccabees, how the temple of the Most High was cast to the ground, and then what do we have to do? If somebody takes something of yours and throw it on the ground in front of your face, now I'm just being real. Look what you gonna do. You're gonna slap them up, and then you're gonna pick it up and brush it off and put it back nice, high, and proud in their face, like I wish you would do it again. And that's what the Maccabees did, right? They took back the temples and made them glorious. It's like ain't nobody touching this no more.
Right.
That's what we doing here in the UPK, man. I dare somebody to touch something that me and my brothers is building.
Right.
You understand? Shout out to FBI Van 7. You know what I'm saying?
Power shuts off.
Hey, right then all the power shuts off. You understand? Like straight up. We know they watching. They watching, but here's the thing. We ain't starting no fights. But if anything come this way, we will finish it. Like a Mortal Kombat fatality finish. You understand? It's gonna get bloody and gory and ugly. You understand? We gonna fight and die for what we believe in this school, man. Let's get some more on the scriptures. Anything else you want to bring up, Priest Salaki? I did cut you off. Most High Christ. Let's get back to the Maccabees, my God, if we could.
Okay. 49. To the end that they might forget the law.
We don't even know who we are, let alone the law.
Right.
Keep going.
And Salakia,
Go ahead, Priest.
like even the littlest things will cause for our people to completely forget what it is that the Lord had given us. We read earlier in the chapter that when we just started building sports stadiums, we completely forgot about, what the Lord told us.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Like in those Greek stadiums or coliseums, you understand? Like those games were played naked.
Right.
You understand? Brothers were out there wrestling one another naked, running around naked. You understand? And I'm sure they were, of course, doing more of this. Sports naked. like you gotta worship whatever God is associated with their games. What's that God associated with the Olympic Games?
I want to say I'll start to say Hermes. It might be Hephaestus. I'll look it up.
Whatever
pagan god.
Yeah, whatever pagan god it is.
But I know they used to have statues of all the Greek gods. Like in the wrestling matches, it used to be like Hercules for the strength. In the sprint matches, it used to be Hermes for the speed. Stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He was like the messenger god and the god of speed.
Right. You understand? Like even when you play games, you gotta serve their gods, and you gotta do certain things to serve their gods. You gotta sacrifice certain animals. You understand? You gotta do certain acts, like for instance, you understand? Our oppressor associates a lot of pedophilia and child molestation with worshiping their gods. Like that's stuff it is that we'd have to do in order to follow those gods. Like we did a lot of wickedness in order to follow our oppressor, and like we read, all throughout this chapter, like we can really thank our leaders for that kind of mindset it is that our people had. You want to keep reading, or you want me to wait until you find that?
No, go ahead.
And change all the ordinances. 50. And whatsoever would not do according, verse 50, and whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. You know what I'm saying? So if our people chose not to follow this disgusting heathen king and his nation, how it is they conducted themselves, you know what I'm saying? If we chose not to be pedophiles, homosexuals, if we chose not to eat pork, chose not to worship their gods or celebrate their holidays like Thanksgiving, you understand, we would be put to death. And there were plenty of brothers and sisters who had integrity that were murdered back then by the Greeks because we chose to keep our culture, keep our customs and our way of life rather than abandoning it for the Greek way of life instead of abandoning it for Christmas and Thanksgiving and Halloween. It's like you had something to say.
And yeah, if I could. I was trying my best not to cut you off, Priest. I did good, didn't I?
Okay.
So, what you breaking down is so heavy, man. And when I say this, I don't want to have anybody misunderstand the point that I'm trying to make, but it's this. Like I have an opportunity, but I will not shy away from it, man. Like I want the opportunity to be able to show my faith and how much I believe in what we do here in this organization. How much that I believe in these scriptures, man. Because I grew up not giving a damn about the Bible because I was at a mindset that we come across every time we had camp. That's a white man's book. You understand? That's a white man's book. It's not real. It's not true. And this is coming from the same people who never read it because I never read the Bible. It's like homework to me. I looked at that thick book, this thick, like, what did it say? It said that? Nah, I can't rock with that. You understand? And then I would try to go to church to learn the Bible, but they wasn't doing that. They was just in there, Hercules, like, I'm out of here. That Bible ain't for me. Straight up. That Bible ain't for me because I thought that in order to believe in the Bible and associate with the Bible, you had to be a goddamn homosexual because that's all I seen in the Christian church. So I was like, hey, listen, heaven ain't for me. It's going to be full of little naked white babies and homosexuals. And anybody can go there. And I was the kind of guy that if anybody can do it, then it's not for me. You understand? That's always been my mentality. If anybody can do it, it's not for me, man. That's why this right here, what Bon Guy was just breaking down, is so heavy. It's so heavy. Like, once more, don't misconstrue what I'm saying. I'm not saying that I want to, but I'm saying when this crap hits the fan and it's time to die for what you believe in, I'm going to. I'm going to stand 10 toes down, rooted like an oak tree, and I will not budge. They're going to say, yeah, if you don't do X, Y, Z, we're going to kill you. I'm going to say, well, start killing. Start killing. You know, we're going to torture you. Well, listen, I've always endured a lot of pain. I hope you got your knife sharpened because I'm not folding. What are they going to do? They're going to do the same thing they did to my forefathers. I won't be the first one, and I won't be the last one.
Right.
You understand? But what I will do is be one of the ones that will not fold. When they get done with me, they're going to come on like, that was one tough nigger. Hope the rest of y'all is as tough as he was. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not going, man. I want to be like that sister. I can't remember her name, but with the 7 sons, which is in this book, we're going to get to it. The priest that's in this book that would not fold. It was like, do this, do that. Don't, all right. You ain't got to eat the pork. Just say you did it. Just say you ate the pork. Right. Nah. Right. If you don't say it, they going to kill you. Yeah, what you want me to do? They cut the flesh from them. They tortured them people to death, man. You going to hear me in there screaming and every other scream in between my breath, I'm going to cuss them out. Go ahead, priest.
What you saying is so heavy. And this is why it's such a disgrace for our people to put pork in their mouth.
Right.
This story, what you're saying, this family, they got brutally murdered for choosing not to eat pork.
Right.
And then in the midst of them being tortured and murdered, they're mocking the people that's killing them.
Right.
And that was the thing that stood out to me. Like the mother started mocking and laughing.
Like I said, in between my breaths and screaming, you hear me cussing them out.
And what stood out, that's the main thing that stood out to me, you know what I'm saying? Even though the whole chapter is heavy as hell, but the mom was mocking him, and then she looked at her children and said, God, man.
Listen, what stood out to me, If I could, real quick, please, not to cut you off, but what stood out to me is that mother was the mother that believed in the Most High, unlike the way that most of us was raised, because our mothers and our grandmothers come from the slave mentality. I know my grandmother was one of them, man. You know what I'm saying? May she rise again. She just recently passed away. But my grandmother, when she was, she was one of the main people that raised me. My mother and my grandmother. I didn't have a father at the time. You understand? But they was trying to raise me to be soft. And one thing that she always encouraged was the same thing all Christian women encourage. Just listen. If any white man say something to you, don't say nothing back. Don't defend myself. Don't try my best not to be aggressive. Don't dress aggressive. Dress non-threatening. Everything I have to do is be non-threatening. It was to the point that I had to change my voice, because my voice, the last thing you want to do is have bass in your voice. You understand? That's threatening to the oppressor. You know what I'm saying? I'm already big as heck. But then I come around there with a deep voice, and don't joke with them, because they might take the joke as a sign of threatening. That reminds me of the plantation when them you ain't gonna be causing no trouble for me. I'm in the big house. We just got it good, son. Don't you be causing no trouble for me. Like, that's that same cowardice spirit. But with that sister in the story that we was just bringing up, she didn't have that spirit. She didn't tell her 7 sons, just say you didn't. Just tell them you eat the pork. But God, don't do this. Don't do it. Just tell them you eat the pork. No. You understand? Listen, she was proud of her sons that died that horrible death. Those were, now she was worthy to be a mother of the children of Israel. So lucky.
I say, it's like if I could, I say your story of basically how it is that your mother tried to
make me a coward.
Yeah, make you weak.
You can say it. Make me half a homo.
Make you weak. You understand? and pacify you. Like, how should I put this? So, like, in that instance, there's a love it is that a mother will have for her child, to where she will tell them to basically she'll submit, and therefore her children will submit in order for them to survive. But then there's a mother that loves her children enough to where she'll tell them to stand for what it is that the Lord deemed as being right.
Damn right.
You understand? And using the same word for a specific reason, because one of those love, like, it far outweighs the other.
You're absolutely right, priest. That is such a heavy breakdown. Damn, you just broke that down.
I didn't articulate it very well.
Yeah, no, you did. You articulated it perfectly. Because, and another thing, that is why fathers are so important,
right,
in our lives, because there's a certain love that a father can give that a mother can't give. And that's why fathers are so important in a woman's life, because that same strength that man has will rub off on that woman. If she obey that man and follow that man and look up to that man and love and respect that man the way she's supposed to, she's going to follow. She's going to be like, my husband ain't going for that. I'm not going for that. Death to the whole family then. Right. It sucks that our bloodline ends here, but, maybe we get wrote about in the scriptures and get them names renamed. Somebody else will carry on this legacy, but we not folding. You understand? And that is a glorious thing. Understand? That's of the book of Maccabees, man. I remember when I first came into this truth. Like, this is one of the stories that I used to have Officer Tarok read to me all the time. Like, I stayed in the book of Maccabees. I stayed on King David, and I stayed on Samson. Like, I love them because I never knew this stuff was in the Bible. I thought the Bible was about Care Bears and shooting love out through your chest like the Care Bears did. You know what I'm saying? That's what they taught me in the Christian church. And then at the end of it, we sing a song. And the song wasn't about destroying our enemies. It wasn't about Babylon is falling. It wasn't about having no cowardice in our camp. The song was about how much love we can show for the people that's killing us. You understand? Let me tell you something. That is not of the UPK, and that is damn sure not of Christ. Right. You understand? So lucky. Let's get some more of the scriptures, priest.
Okay. And then, so if I could, real quick.
Damn right, buddy, man.
Like, just touch on what it is that you brought up earlier about how important it is to have a man in the house. Like that's why it is that so many brothers and really even sisters are weak out here, is because many of us didn't grow up with fathers.
Right.
You understand? And those of us that even briefly had our fathers in our lives, like they really, that man that is you thought you knew as a child, he's really like a shell nowadays of what he was.
Right.
Like, for instance, my father, like, you know, he was masculine back then. You understand? He was hardcore. He was about warfare. Now, like when I first came into the truth, his spirit was just completely beaten down.
Right.
And that was through the years of course, not having a father figure. Because
Right.
even when you're an adult, like not having a father still affects you.
Right.
Like not having that man to show you how to be a man and to guide you, that still affects you even
Right.
into your later years.
Right.
Like I remember when I first came in and I was battling my family about the truth and everything, and my father had called me. And, you know, we was talking about the truth. We was talking about enemies. And before he hung up, he told me that you can't battle your enemies with words or fists. You got to kill them with kindness. And that showed me how important UPK was.
Right.
Because without this organization, that's exactly how all of the brothers out here would be.
Right.
Every one of them would be docile. They'd all be subservient to our oppressor and his entire disgusting kingdom.
Right.
You understand? We'd all be out here passing one another with our head down, telling our sons, you got to kill your enemies with kindness. You gotta love everybody, even those that hate you.
Right.
When that's
Christian. That's very Christian of you. You understand? And that is a glorious thing that you're bringing up on that, man. Because I know me as a father myself, and I know I might be a little bit hard on my son. I know I am, but it's because I want him to be something greater than I ever was. You understand? Like, I feel like this. I was an old man when I found this truth. He's a teenager, man. There's a lot of things that he ain't experienced in his life, that he ain't done, that he witnessed me do, that he helped me do. And now I have the chance to mold him into something great. And that's what my thing is. So I make sure that I prepare my son, something that his mother will not do. You understand? His mother did not do it. His mother was trying to turn him into, like one guy said, something soft. She wanted him to wear skinny jeans with holes in them.
I could not see that. So
pink pants, purple shirts. Got offended when I put him in all black. You understand? And this is how you know the Most High is the same Most High that we read about in these scriptures is with blacks, Hispanics, and indigenous people who serve him because he gave me my son. We went to court and fought it out, and I have full custody of my son. You understand? And let me tell you something. That's the best thing that could have happened to a brother like me, because now I get to raise my son in the spirit of righteousness, according to how the Most High wanted me to raise my son. Train up a child in the way they should go. And one thing that I make sure my son understands and is not afraid of is death. Death comes to us all. You understand? That's the one thing promised in his life. We all gotta die. But my thing is this: how are you gonna meet it? You gonna meet it like a coward, begging for your life, pleading, cutting deals like the Christian pastor? The Christian pastor think he can buy his way into heaven. That's what he thinks. That's what the Egyptians thought too. I got all this gold. They're going to rip my heart out and then weigh it up against the gold that I got.
Right.
No, that's not how it goes, man. You understand? I prepare my son for death. I tell him I prepare him to die today. But the only reason I don't allow him to die is because he needs to have a son himself. So the second he have a son himself to carry on his legacy, hey, listen, it's on him to choose to win and where. As long as the Most High approves it. You understand? Straight up. Other than that, don't listen. You ain't to be weak when it comes to death. Your death is nothing. Your life means nothing in the greater scheme of things. We're not taught that in the Christian church. We're taught that our lives is precious and they mean something. And you got to live forever somehow, even though nobody does. But you're taught to want to do that. You taught that everybody else's life means less than yours. Nobody's greater than you. You understand? But what did Paul say, if I could, real quick? Paul said, listen, I'll be accursed. Was that Paul that said that? Or was, correct me if I'm wrong. Was that Paul? That was Paul said, listen, man, let me suffer so all my brothers don't have to. Paraphrasing the scripture. You understand? He wanted all the burden, man. And that's the spirit of every brother in the UPK. That's the spirit of a father. Like the story of the Maccabees, you know why Judas was so hardcore? Judas Maccabee was so hardcore?
So you think that scripture?
Because his father was hardcore. Go ahead, priest. Pull that scripture.
Come on. Book of Romans, chapter 9, verse 3.
Go ahead.
For I could wish that myself were accursed from Christ for my brethren.
For who?
My brethren.
For everybody.
My brethren.
Keep going.
My kinsmen.
Who?
My kinsmen.
Man, them Africans.
My kinsmen.
The Chinese man.
My kinsmen.
How Rittenhouse.
My
Keep
kinsmen.
going.
According to the flesh.
According to how?
The flesh.
The spirit.
The flesh.
Those that believe.
The flesh.
Keep going.
Verse 4. Who are Israelites?
Who are they?
Israelites.
Everybody.
Book of Romans, chapter 9, verse 4. Who are Israelites?
That's all I need. Stop there. That's all I need. Blacks, Hispanics, and indigenous, man. That's the spirit of every brother in this school. That's the spirit of all these brothers in the Maccabees, man. That's why a father is so important, because a father has that spirit. You don't want your kids to suffer. You don't want the people that you love. You don't want your wife to suffer, your daughter to suffer, your brothers to suffer, your sisters to suffer. Give me all that pain.
Right.
You understand? Give me all that pain. I'll take it all so they don't have to, man. This is why a real father is so important. This is why Judas Maccabee was the way he was, because he seen his father. When them goddamn Greeks came into that city, his father was the one to put him to death. His father said, hey, he told his sons, kill all these cats.
Right.
He's not just the Greeks, but the Israelites who tried to portray their beliefs for the Greeks. They killed everybody and then took off. This so-called rebellion wasn't planned. It just happened because other people seen, just like we seen Commander General Yohanna, just like we seen General Muhammad and all the other generals, General Hazayan, you know what I'm saying? General, how you say it? The Thunderbars? I'm mutilated his name.
Thunderbars?
Yeah. All the other generals, just like we seen all the generals, how they sacrificed, how they was going to war. They was like the brothers in the Maccabees. We seen the generals going to war and then go over there to Philadelphia and then to New York and on a run, and we follow them, man. We want to be a part of this rebellion too. We believe in what you believe in. Everything that you said was the absolute truth. How do we get down? And let me tell you something, man. This blood oath is serious, man. It's serious, man. We thought we was gangsters in the world. This is the biggest gang shit that you know. Salakia about to cuss it. Salakia. This is the biggest gang stuff that you can ever think about. Like, this is it. This is what I live for, man. I'm here for the warfare. Understand? I'm here for the warfare. I'm here to make sure that every generation after me don't have to suffer the way that I did. That's what I want. I want to be a curse for my brothers and from Christ, to make sure that none of my other brothers have to suffer like I've suffered, to deal with what I've dealt with, to have women that rule over you and that's weak. Just bow your head down. Just don't look them in the eyes. Take the bass out of your voice. Don't be threatening. I'm a goddamn lion. I'm supposed to be threatening. Have you ever seen a non-threatening lion? Have you? Neither have I. Even when that lion is all skinny and hungry, that's a bigger threat than any lion. And let me tell you something, we all skinny and hungry in this truth. We the biggest threat there is. We don't have millions of dollars. We're not eating the way that young Dolph was eating. You understand? And we the biggest threat. The biggest threat on this planet, man, because we believe in something. It's when you don't believe in nothing that the problem is happening, that the weakness shows. We believe in something here. Motherfucker, go ahead with the scriptures, please. How many more we got?
A lot. Like 12.
Where we at now?
51. It's 8. It's 54.
Let's get this one.
Come on. But first Maccabees chapter 1, verse 51.
Go ahead.
In the selfsame manner wrote he to his whole kingdom and appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city.
That sounds like what's going on now in the Christian church all around the world, because all this Christian church has the same doctrine, does it not? Celebrate the pagan holidays. I ain't never went to a Christian church and they spoke against the pagan holidays. Have you?
No.
Have any of y'all ever been in a Christian church and they told you not to celebrate the pagan holidays?
They celebrate them.
Exactly, they celebrate it.
You can walk in there and see goblins and ghouls during Halloween.
Right? I've seen Christmas trees put up in there. They had a little crucifix up there with the white Jesus on there. This nigga have a whole what's that thing where the mistletoe? Yeah, you have a whole mistletoe on his head. You go up under white Jesus and kiss. And in today's church, it don't matter who's up under there. You understand? It don't matter who's up under there. It could be woman and woman, man and man, man and kid. Like, it don't matter. Woman and kid, because we can't forget about these pedophile grown women as well.
Right.
You understand? Because that goes on in the Christian church very heavily. Jada Pinkett is proof of that.
Right.
She not only does she molest young men, but she likes them when they're mentally ill as well.
I would say Salakia. R. Kelly is proof of that.
Damn
Not
right.
only was he molested by his sister, but he was also molested by them disgusting old women in his church.
Right. You understand? And them was the same old women that was supporting his whole career doing this in the Christian church.
They be wearing them big hats, talking about, don't you talk bad about the reverend.
Right.
When you go tell him that he just molested you. Like, the Christian church is just vile. You understand? And it's going to be a beautiful day when that thermonuclear fire burns them churches away.
Damn right, priest. Damn right, man. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and end the class. I'm going to turn the class over to priest and prophet and officer Bongad, Matarab Bongad. Let's cut that up. That's a lot. Yeah, I do just say Bongad like that's his Hebrew name.
Right.
And if y'all brothers want to, y'all go put your mics on mute.
Isupk West 125th. When a brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 month period, from the head tithes, which is a commandment. Book 18, in the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8 to 10, means tenth in Hebrew, Ashura. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give the treasure off for priest. It's not mandatory. Upcoming holy convocations. You know, say we got the Feast of Dedication or Hanukkah, which is going to be November 28th, starting at 7 p.m. at 3532 North Keystone Avenue, Indianapolis, Indiana. You understand? All Blacks, Hispanics, and Indigenous are welcome to come. Bring food. You understand? Bring drinks. If you can't bring either one of those, then just show up. You understand? And dwell in the spirit of brotherhood. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black boots, shirt, pants, headband, or a war scarf. With that said, Imadium, which means to stand, Wapunya Haki Dum, which means to turn and face the east. The Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawa,
Abanawa,
Shabashamayim,
Abashamayim,
Quadash,
Kadash,
Hayah,
Ayah,
Shemka,
Shaka,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Malakwaka,
Malakaka,
Taba'ad,
Abba,
Ratazayaka,
Tazaka,
Hayah,
Ayah,
Aisha,
Aisha,
Ba'ar Rataza,
Barataza,
Kawar,
Kawar,
Hayah, the come Wathanawa,
Wafina,
Kasalakanawa,
Kasalakina,
Kawabuwathayanawa,
Wafina,
Wala'a, Dabayayanawa,
Abayana,
Wanasaya one,
Abba,
Abba, Hawashayanawa,
Shana,
Mayan,
Ayah,
Rai,
Rai,
Kaya,
Ayah,
Lakat,
Kaka,
Hamalakwa,
Malak,
Waha'ala,
Malak,
Watapara,
Power,
Lalamyam,
Lily,
Aman.
Amon,
The Lord's Prayer in English. Our Father,
our Father,
which art in heaven,
Jordan Devon,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
thy kingdom
thy
come,
kingdom come,
thy will be
thy
done
will be done
in
on
earth
earth
as it is in
as
heaven.
it is in heaven.
Give us this
Give
day
us this day
our daily
our
bread,
daily bread.
and forgive us our debts
Forgive us our debts,
as we forgive our
as we
debtors.
forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into
Lead us
temptation,
not to temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
Thine is the kingdom,
and the
and
power,
the power,
and the glory,
and the glory,
forever.
forever.
So be it. Prayer for the blessings in the Hebrew. Barakatha Yahweh,
Ruach atah Yahweh,
wa Yahushua,
Oyam Shah,
Wam Yaka'ala,
Yam Yakala,
wa Ahayim,
Alaim,
Matazab Ya'ah,
Atazab Yah,
Alawap Yahana,
Alawak Yahana,
Ha Alawapim,
Alawak,
Hazaranyum,
Hazaranyam,
Ha Quatazayanyum,
Atazayanyam,
Ha Kayayayum,
Kayayayam,
Waha Aquathim,
Ayapatim,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Ba'ashim Yahusha,
Bashim Yahushua,
the water Aman.
Waraman.
Prayer for the blessings in English. Bless you, Yahweh,
Bless you, Yahweh,
and Yahusha,
Yahushua,
and Michael,
Michael,
and the angels,
the angels,
commanding General Yohana,
Commander General Yohana,
the
the
generals,
generals,
the captains,
captains,
the officers,
officers,
the troopers,
troopers,
and the
and the
sisters.
sisters.
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
in the name of Yahushua,
and Yahushua.
thank you.
Thank you.
So be it.
So be it.
Sar, which means to turn. Sisters, Yeshabian, which means to be seated. I'm going to give a salute to the brothers, men of Israel, Amadim Shabbat, Amadim, Barak, Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushua, Barak, Dom. There's Matah. Sisters, Amadim, which means stand. Sar, turn and face the sisters. I'm going to give a salute to the sisters, men of Israel, Amadim Shabbat, Amadim, Barak, Yahweh Shema, Adam, Ba'ashem Yahushua. Class dismissed.
Yes, right.